So you haven't watched Atun-Shei films. Hi, I'm Tyler. I'm a history student currently working on my master's degree, and I'm here to give general brief reviews of history channels on YouTube. Whether you have seen any videos from the channel or not, hopefully I can give you a brief overview of what kind of content they offer, how reliable historically they are, how entertaining they are, and at the end I'll offer more of my opinions for transparency. Today, I'll be talking about Atun-Shei films. Atun-Shei produces a variety of content on his channel. Some are short skits and short films. Others are videos of him walking around New Orleans and talking about the city's history. And he has several movie reviews, mostly movies dealing with the Civil War. In his history, he mostly focuses on two areas: colonial American and the Civil War. He will occasionally go outside of those topics, but that's much more rare. For his colonial videos, it's mostly focused on Puritanism and his character, the Witchfinder General. His Civil War content is in his popular Checkmate Lincolnites series, which has his characters Billy Yank and Johnny Reb arguing over Lost Cause mythology. I will mostly be focusing on the Checkmate Lincolnites series. It helps that I know the most about this area of history compared to everything else he covers, but it is his most popular series and gets the most attention. Most reaction videos regarding history YouTube will talk about this series. They get a lot of positive and negative comments on them, which he does address in the series. And in my opinion, they are just some of the most interesting videos that he does. For those of you who are not familiar with the Lost Cause myth, it essentially tries to deflect blame for the Civil War from the Confederacy to the Union. It pushes that things like states' rights, industrialization, northern aggression were the true causes of the war, and that northern generals were barbarians that ravaged the South because they hated them. Lincoln was a tyrant. A lot of things to just pull focus away from the true cause of the Civil War, which was slavery. The Confederacy did secede in order to protect slavery and make sure that it could survive within its borders. Now, as Atun-Shei explains, and as most people who have encountered Lost Cause mythology will know, there are these occasional grains of truth that they're built off of. Lincoln did do some acts that could be deemed tyrannical. Suspending habeas corpus is usually fairly high on that list. Sherman's march to the sea in the South was devastating and led to a lot of destruction. But Lost Cause expands on this to make it the only focus of the Civil War. Slavery does not have much of a role in the Lost Cause myth, and some even defend Southern slavery through it. There's a lot of different myths that feed into this, and Checkmate Lincolnites sets out to dispel a lot of these myths. Because of how Checkmate Lincolnites is formatted, my standards for accuracy are higher here than for other channels. His videos are very much a debate between the two characters, Billy Yank and Johnny Reb, and it's meant to be persuasive, especially because he is trying to contradict the claims put forward by the Confederate character. He needs to be bringing better information that is indeed accurate. To his credit, he does use footnotes in his videos. Occasionally a number will pop up and it'll link to the appropriate citation in his details. Even when he doesn't do this, he'll give primary sources proper introductions, tell you exactly who said it, what their status in society was, and when the date of the diary entry or the speech or whatever it is was. This is very awesome to see on YouTube. It adds more credibility to it, and I can go back and check. I can look exactly where he's going. It's, as an academic, it is an amazing touch that I greatly appreciate. For Johnny Reb, he normally pulls his points out of the YouTube comments. He gets a lot of negative attention from neo-Confederates and Lost Causers who think that he is being unfair to the Confederacy and needlessly hating on them. So it does give him great springboard topics for the debate, and that helps it keep more focused. It adds a sense of legitimacy to it too. He is not making these broad claims. He's not pulling these out of nowhere. These are things that people are saying in response to his videos. As someone who does know a bit about the Lost Cause, most of the points that they make are not unusual within that belief system. They could be a bit extreme at times. There are definitely undertones of white supremacy that come out every once in a while. There's also comments that just straight up insult him. That being said, I think it's a very nice touch to actually have that basis in reality. He is directly talking to parts of his audience who don't like his videos. He is directly talking to people who are bringing claims against him. It's kind of how history works. Historians engage in these conversations in these published works, and even though these are not professional historians coming in, it does kind of replicate that interaction in a very small way. In general, I think Atun-Shei does a great job at making historically accurate videos. I find them pretty entertaining too, so that's definitely a plus. He has clearly done his homework, and most of the disagreements I have with the information he puts out are more over interpretation. He is not pulling out faulty sources. He is not relying on outdated sources. It's just he will stress factors that I either think he goes too far or not far enough. I definitely think he could criticize the Union more, and I don't necessarily agree with how he portrays Confederate soldiers. Yes, most of them were fighting for slavery, but their motivations were very complex. The only fact he puts out there that I will strongly disagree with is he argues that General Grant was a better general than General Lee because Grant had a lower percentage of casualties, so the men that he lost were a lower percentage of his total force than Lee's losses. Of course, this is a very complicated scenario because the Union just had more men. Grant also, a lot of generals surrendered to him, so his inflicted casualties could be seen as much higher if you are counting it those surrenders as 100% casualty rates. It also doesn't mean much to me in terms of the skill of the general. I think that you have a better argument if saying that Grant was better because he won. He knew how to utilize the resources he had better than other Union generals before him, especially McClellan. However, if you were to really go into who was better, who was more tactically superior in their planning, who was better in battlefield command, that would require a much deeper look than I think can be done in a YouTube video without it being extraordinarily long. That being said, that is the only time I can say he really got it wrong. He makes a strong point, but I don't think it means what he says it does. I do highly recommend watching Atun-Shei. His videos are very well made. They're entertaining. Definitely show off his chops as an actor. And quite frankly, he does his homework. I know exactly where he is pulling his information from, and I generally cannot complain with that level of detail he is putting in. He also goes the extra mile to make some of these videos more fun. There's a bit of a meta narrative over the course of Checkmate Lincolnites. At one point, he introduces the Witchfinder General into that storyline, as well as another character, Klaus the Nazi, to really emphasize the white supremacy of the Confederacy and of neo-Confederates. And it ends up being really funny, a lot of movie references throughout, and just really well made for a YouTube production. I'm also going to give a small shout out here to the channel Vlogging Through History. He does a lot of reaction videos to all sorts of historical content, and the ones that he has put out specifically for Checkmate Lincolnites are very well done. He refutes a number of points on there very coherently, and I definitely appreciate some of the corrections that he made. Truthfully, I lie somewhere in between the two of them. I agree with a lot of what Atun-Shei says. I agree with a lot of what Vlogging Through History says. At times it is just a problem of different interpretations, and I highly recommend watching those reaction videos as well, because they show a very respectful way for historians to interact, especially over the internet. That's all I got for this one. See you next time.